What if I told you that right now, a new kind of economy is waking up all around us? I'm not talking about one driven by human hands or even human desires, but one run by machines, by data, and by algorithms. Today we're diving deep into the rise of the planet's brand new digital metabolism.
So let's just start with this question. Just think about it for a second. What if this enormous, sprawling network of technology that we've all built, the factories, the supply chains, the digital networks, what if it's starting to operate with a logic all its own? Maybe even completely independent of what we originally intended for it.
Okay, to really wrap our heads around this idea, we need a new term, the technosphere. The easiest way to picture it is as a new geological layer blanketing the entire planet, kind of like the biosphere. It's the sum total of everything humanity has ever built. But here's the kicker. It's become so vast and so complex that it's starting to act like one single, massive, interconnected system.
All right, so here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to try and grasp the sheer scale of this technosphere. Then, we'll take a hard look at the problems with our current economy before we explore the new digital metabolism that could actually be the cure. We'll meet the autonomous agents running this new economy, find a pretty surprising blueprint for it in biology, and then, finally, we'll face the big question. What is our new role in all of this?
So what really is this technosphere? Well, the strange and maybe slightly unsettling truth is that even though we built it piece by piece, we can't really claim to be in the driver's seat anymore.
So the physicist Peter Haff argues that the technosphere actually plays by its own set of rules now, and they're pretty wild. For instance, take impotence. That means your personal choice to, say, get rid of your smartphone. Well, it does practically nothing to slow down the global momentum of smart devices. Or how about control? This suggests we've basically become like cells in a larger organism, kind of drafted to maintain the very system that supports us. The bottom line is, it's evolving with or without our permission.
And this giant evolving system we've built, it has a really serious problem. Its metabolism is dangerously unhealthy. It just devours resources at a rate we can't sustain, and it churns out waste that the planet just can't absorb.
And this slide really lays out the fundamental conflict. For the last century and a half, we've been running on a linear economy. It's a cradle-to-grave pipeline, a one-way street of taking resources, making stuff, and then throwing it away. The dream, the goal, is to shift to a circular economy, a cradle-to-cradle system where the waste from one process becomes the food for the next, just like it works in nature.
So why is our economy so incredibly wasteful? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is a concept called telecoupling. It sounds academic, but it's really simple. The phone in your hand is the final product of a mind-bogglingly complex global supply chain. It connects resources and labor from dozens of countries, and that huge physical and psychological distance makes it almost impossible for us to see or to feel the true environmental and social cost of the things we bought. Okay, so if the problem is an unhealthy metabolism caused by a massive information gap, then the cure has to be a new, smarter digital metabolism. And the amazing thing is, it's being built right now through the convergence of three incredibly powerful technologies.
I want you to imagine we're building a body for the technosphere. Seriously, the Internet of Things, with its billions and billions of sensors, that's the nervous system. It's the senses collecting real-time data from absolutely everywhere. AI, well, that's the brain, processing all that information and making smart decisions. And finally, blockchain? This is the secret sauce. It provides the trust layer, a secure, unchangeable public memory that lets all these different parts talk and transact with each other safely without needing a bank or a government in the middle.
So what happens when you combine these technologies? When you put together the senses, the brain, and the trust layer? Well, you get the foundation for something that sounds like science fiction, but is becoming very, very real. An economy of machines, by machines, and for machines.
The citizens of this new economy are what we call autonomous economic agents, or AEAs. You can just think of them as bits of code with a goal and a digital wallet. They can own things, buy data, sell services, negotiate their own contracts, all without a human being ever having to lift a finger.
And let's be clear, this is not some far-off future fantasy. AEAs are already being designed for real-world tasks. You could have a material passport on a blockchain that lets an agent automatically figure out the best and cheapest way to recycle every single component of a product. Or, and this is really cool, picture your electric car's battery autonomously selling its extra charge back to the grid during peak hours to make you a little money. This isn't coming, it's already here. All right, stick with me here because this is where the analogy gets really mind-bending. For this whole machine economy to actually work, it needs a foundational layer to run on, a substrate. And it turns out the principles for designing this digital substrate are shockingly similar to how scientists are designing new forms of life in synthetic biology.
Just look at this parallel. It's amazing. On the left, you've got a biologist literally engineering a microbe, rewriting its DNA to make it produce biofuels. On the right, you have a developer engineering a decentralized network, creating a new communication protocol so machines can pay each other without fees. In both cases, the fundamental goal is exactly the same: design a substrate that channels energy and information towards a specific productive outcome.
So all of this, it leads to a really profound question about our own future. As this intelligent, autonomous system keeps growing and starts managing the planet's metabolism for us, what exactly is our role going to be? Of course, we're not there yet, not by a long shot. There are huge technical hurdles. A simple network delay could cause chaos and machine-to-machine coordination. A false data injection attack, which is basically just feeding the system bad information on purpose, could poison its decision-making. And what if the AI becomes a black box, so complex that we don't understand its logic? It could lead to disastrous consequences that we never, ever intended.
And this brings us to a whole new metaphor for humanity's job. Maybe our role isn't to be the master architects anymore, or even the operators. Maybe, instead, we need to become gardeners. We don't control every single leaf and branch, but our job is to tend the soil, to provide the right conditions, and to set the foundational rules and incentives that gently guide the system's growth toward a healthy, sustainable, and regenerative state.
Which leaves us with this final thought. We are, right now, actively building this new planetary intelligence. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, are we carefully cultivating a garden that can nourish and support us all? Or are we just unleashing an uncontrollable digital jungle? The answer is going to depend on the care and the wisdom we show right now as we lay the foundations of this new world.